Welcome back to Rome Boys. On this episode, we got Chris Bartlett in the house.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Bienvenidos.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Cool.
Hola.
So
We like to be bilingual even though we can't speak it. So anyway.
Yeah.
Or I can't. You're pretty good.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Only on Mondays.
Mondays.
So just happens to be Monday.
Yep.
Chris, you drove a long way. Thanks for being here, brother.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
He's taking Tony's spot today, so I'm between Chris and Chris.
Yeah, and Tony is also a Broncos fan, so I'm glad to be representing the beautiful state of Colorado.
There you go.
Yep, born and raised.
I
So
can't
born and
believe
raised in Colorado.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
Yep.
he brought that up. Yeah. No, it's
I'm
okay.
better than you guys. I think that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, okay. Just
Tony says that too, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
Get to the point. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Dallas hasn't been doing all that great these last few
And yeah.
decades.
It's true. It's true. So Chris Bartlett.
Introduce yourself.
Got a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I've got 6 kids. I live just north of Austin in Round Rock. 6 kids. Oldest is Philomena, Francesca, Faustina, Joseph, Benedict, Stella. The idea is if they ever want to leave the church will never leave them because of their names. It's a boomerang. Your name is a boomerang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that we intend that. We're raising saints. We're raising kids that are on mission. So it's not like a boring Catholicism that they live. So
Sure.
they won't ever leave, but or I won't let them down.
Right.
But long story short, my beautiful wife Kendra and I have been doing that for 16 years, almost 18 years, depending on, I don't know when you start. We've been together for
Right.
16
Right.
years of marriage, but 18 years of making eyes at each other.
No.
Yeah, not 18 years of parenting.
No, not parenting.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
There's,
Whoa.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Sorry.
steps there. But nevertheless, I'm the vice president of Ablaze Ministries. So we're an organization that sends missionaries into parishes to do mission to youth. And so there's this idea of youth ministry, and youth ministry a lot of times is built around programming to young people. And we want to prioritize community over content, and we also want to have a vision to where it's not just programming, but it's mission, that we do outreach. We reach out to the least and the lonely. And so we try and just kind of transform the church through mission to youth. The idea is to transform the mentality that I'm not just responsible for the teens coming into my parish, the young people coming into my parish. I'm actually responsible for all the teens in my parish being a boundary, a piece of land.
Oh yeah.
And so every teen in your parish boundary
Right.
In that community.
is part of your mission.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking youth
Not just
ministry,
the ones we see on Sunday.
right,
Yeah.
and if we're talking youth ministry and we're just reaching the ones that are coming or that are registered or that have signed up, then we're missing a huge demographic. And, Pope Paul VI said the church exists to evangelize.
Yeah.
And so if we live to do that, it'll transform the church.
Man, so much of a need, and what a simple way to look at it.
Sure.
As opposed to, I guess, the old adage is, I'm preaching to the choir here, right?
Right.
You don't want to continue to just preach to the choir.
Right. Well, and the fruits of it, when those who are raised in the Catholic faith, and this comes from Forming Intentional Disciples. You guys have read that book.
Yeah.
But,
It's on my list.
Chris has read that book. It's like 80% of those that are raised in a Catholic home, a nominal Catholic home, whatever Catholic home, leave the church by age 23.
What?
80%.
80%. And it says, for lifelong practice as an adult, the best way for someone raised Catholic to be practicing their faith as an adult would be for them to leave the Catholic faith and become Protestant along the way. In other words, of those who have left the faith,
Right.
like 40% of them end up going to Christian churches, Protestant churches,
Sure.
and practicing. And that's a greater percentage than those who remain Catholic. And so we have to start looking at the different things. And yes, families are a huge part of it. Domestic churches, that's why the devil is attacking
Yeah,
in
right.
so many
Domestic
different
church,
ways,
yeah.
all the way down to Bud Light cans and stuff like that. Like there's an attack on the families, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, it's true.
But it's not just the domestic church. It's about the other opportunities that partner with parents, and youth ministry is one of those. And so how do we get that sense of mission right? The
Hand
difference.
out tacos on Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
And we do. We're handing out tacos on Tuesday to a bunch of kids that need Jesus. They also need someone just to listen to them. You know what I mean? And someone to hear their story about their parole officer. No joke. You know what I mean? Like one of the first kids we handed tacos out to, the mom was like, "Hey, can you drop my kid off at Dollar General? We want to meet him up there or whatever." So we did. And then she gets to Dollar General and was like, "Hey, I'm at this Dollar General." And we're like, "We did do that Dollar General."
Right.
2 days. The kid ran away for 2 days using the ministry as an escape vehicle. But because we had built a relationship with the mom and she knew, she's like, "No, this kid, he's on a journey." We're still in relationship with that kid.
Wow.
You know, so is his parole officer, so is his mom. It takes a team.
Sure.
You know, but there's something profound about going to the fringe and finding Christ there. Because that kid also showed us Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't have time to get into all of it, but when you go and you live life boldly, like the apostles, like the Pentecost just happened, you're going to start to see Christ in a new way because you're going to be Christ in a new way, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love a taco? I mean, really.
Right.
I mean, free tacos.
You can't beat that. That's a great idea.
But it puts you in the street where the people are, right? Like you're there where the people are.
Right.
And that goes to the point of instead of just catechizing those who are in the church, you're reaching out and being what the church was intended to be.
Yeah, you look at Vatican City, and you've got those two arms that make up St. Peter's Square, and it's arms. It's not like elbows. Like it's
right.
It's like people welcoming, like a hug, welcoming them into the church.
Come on in.
And I mean, we just celebrated some of that with Easter and everyone coming into the church at that time. But there is the fruits of traditional ministry should be called into question. And that's why when we partner with parishes, with parish contracts and different things like that, we ask them to make the line item mission to youth as opposed to youth ministry or high school formation or youth, high school religious education.
Oh, you mean like in the financial budget?
In the budget line. Yeah, we want them to change it. We want to change.
Language matters.
Language matters. And so then when they go to cut things, and they're like, "Oh, we need to reduce our expense on this and expense on this." It's easy to say, "Let's just cut the religious education budget."
Yeah,
But when they say, "Let's cut the mission to high school youth,"
I don't think so.
all of a sudden we're like, mission, we're investing. It changes the mentality with some of the language and things like that. So, I mean, that when we talk about transforming the church through mission to youth, we're talking about every single element, but then the church itself is transformed. And it's actually a question I want to ask you guys. So I got something to throw back at you guys.
All right, we're prepared.
I
think.
I don't know about this.
but all of a sudden, when young people start coming to the church, then all people know that they're welcome at the church. The church feels alive. We said it before. A church is either crying or it's dying.
Yeah.
But the same is true when someone that looks like they don't belong starts to show up, and young people typically look and smell.
You gotta take a shower, little man. You are right.
Like they don't belong, right? But when they start feeling welcome there, then you're like, everyone's welcome there. My cousin hasn't been to church in forever because of this, and this. But I'm seeing these kids here, so I know that he is welcome or she is welcome. And so the church starts to transform in that way. So are you guys ready for me to flip the script and put you guys on the spot?
It's interesting because I'm curious where you're going, because at one of our talks, we actually had a conversation, maybe on this set, about who are we inviting and who would we feel comfortable inviting into our parish. So I'm curious about your question.
So you guys have heard the whole behave, believe, belong. Those three things. So traditionally, if someone wants to come to become Catholic, they have to behave like we do, right?
Oh, yes.
So
right.
stand, sit, kneel, all the different kind of
Calisthenics.
secret signals or whatever. And then they start to believe like we do because now they're coming and they're going to believe in the Eucharist and different things like that. And only then, once they jump through those two hoops, do they belong, right? But then we look at what the model Jesus showed us.
Yeah.
He loved them first. And so belong comes first. And then they have an encounter with Christ, believe, and only after then does he say, go forth and sin no more, behave. So behavior is actually the last thing that changes, right? Belonging is the first thing. So we got some of these Taco Tuesday kids, right?
Yeah.
And Father Will Rooney, you remember Will Rooney?
Yeah, he was in our wedding.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah. Okay, so Father Will Rooney is like, bring some of those kids to my parish for Ash Wednesday. So we had one of our missionaries get a couple of Taco Tuesday kids. And we sat with them and we talked with them. Okay, this is what's going to happen. Stand, sit, kneel, just to give them a heads up so they didn't feel uncomfortable.
Sure.
Again, so they felt welcomed and they felt comfortable. They're 7th graders. They made fart noises throughout the entire liturgy. Our missionary was sitting in between them, and they were still like, and you know, the old ladies coming for ashes are kind of like uncomfortable by it.
Yeah.
But it really called into question, do we actually say, I know we say everyone's welcome here,
Right.
but what if this isn't
act
a
that way?
2-month-old crying? Everyone's like, that's fine. 2-month-old can cry. Colicky babies, welcome. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Sure. It's the future of the church. That's what you always hear.
But when it's a 13-year-old who has a parole officer that's making fart noises during Father Will's homily, and Father Will's a pretty good homilist, you know what I mean?
Smart dude.
How do we feel then? So what would you do in that situation? Or better question is, from the churches that you've been to, what would the typical response be if there's a couple of teens in there making fart noises? Like, what's that look like?
That's a great question.
That is a great question. I'm just thinking of the little old ladies that are just staring them down. Like,
Yeah, well,
what are
it
you doing
is
here?
one of the questions that we asked in relation to it. I'm not dodging the question. That's exactly who we need to bring into the church because of the model you just laid out. You're exactly right. Are we actually who we say we are?
Right.
Why are we mad at the world if we're not doing what we say we are? And yet we shun them because, I mean, even my mom watches the show. I'll even say it like my mom has said, like, why am I going to go there when everyone is judging me and they're just hypocritical of me? Yeah. Right. So one of the questions, and I don't know if we were in Abilene giving a talk or if it was on the set, but, you know, with all of the homosexuality and the gender conversations and all this, people who have different color hair and it's shaved and piercings and
that was Midland. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
well, they're after attention. That's what they
yeah,
want.
they desire love just like us, right?
Right.
So, but it's as if they want to put up a front to dare you to talk to them about Jesus. That's really what it is because they need love, but they're just daring you. And it's like, I'm here. You see me. I'm doing all these things so that you see me, but you won't even talk to me.
Right.
You don't even care who I really am.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's absolutely who we need to invite. Why would we not? To show them actually that we're not such bad people.
Well, and the question is are they an object of our ministry? Or are they a mirror for us? Like those two boys showed us who we really were in church that day.
Right.
Like, do we have, we know that we're capable,
Right.
but do we have the skills to actually love people that come that don't look like the people to my left and to my right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
especially some of these smaller town parishes, sit in a different spot, someone else's spot.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, you might get
shot.
Or invited to breakfast afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Like those are the two realities. Hey, we normally sit there. We've never noticed you guys before. It's just 5 pews back, you know. Trust me, my 2-year-old, you've noticed her before. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But that's the reality, and so we're capable of it, and we're called to it. But those boys showed us that as a church, we need to up our game a little bit in regards to hospitality, welcoming, belonging. And sure, maybe there's another step between them getting a handful of tacos and them going and sitting through Mass.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And there's something that we can learn about that as well. But even if there's not, we skip a step. We should be celebrating that. Someone with different colored hair or with different struggles and things like that. And even there should be room in the church for people that judge others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's God's church, not ours,
Yeah.
to discern who goes there.
Yeah.
Everybody goes there. Yeah. So all different backgrounds, styles, classes.
Deacon Allen's homily was great on Divine Mercy Sunday right after Easter, right? 1 week after Easter is Divine Mercy.
Yeah.
And he said, maybe Thomas, read the scripture again. Go back and read the reading. Thomas was doubtful, but he didn't doubt his Lord. He didn't doubt God. He actually said to his friends, his disciples, wait a second. I don't know if I believe what you're telling me right now. I need to stick my hand in his side. But if they had the face of belief and just astonishment, like, he is risen, he's here, I promise you. then he might have been a little more convinced.
We're the others beyond reproach.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I think about Thomas in heaven, right? And everyone's like, hey, they get to heaven. They're like, hey, yeah, I'm Thomas. You're doubting Thomas?
Awful.
And he's like, oh, hold on. Come on, guys. Remember that fish recipe I had? Why not good fish recipe, Thomas? Can that be me? You know, I
Yeah.
just can't imagine. But we do that to ourselves as well. We define ourselves by our faults.
You said farts.
I did say farts.
I have
Our
a kid
faults
that's defined by
and
that.
our failings. And then JP2 talks about how we're not defined by that. We're defined by the Father's love for us.
Yes.
You know? And I think about, Thomas knows that now more than anyone. But shame on us, even as a church, for labeling someone by their failing and then telling people that's not what Jesus wants you to do or whatever. But that's a tangent.
I'd rather not know my nickname right now.
From your guardian angel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
would he
your
like to
nickname.
tell
Don't.
me? Yeah. What were you thinking?
So the ministry for Ablaze, the missionaries,
Yes.
they come from all over?
Yeah. So quite a few of them in our origin story came from Texas A&M because we're based out of Bryan, Texas, which is right near College Station, which is where Texas A&M is, you know. And I forget who said it, but if you want your kids to be Catholic, don't send them to Notre Dame, send them to Texas A&M. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
I
Heard
forget
that,
who said
yeah.
that, but there was someone with a Roman collar that once said that. The student campus ministry center there is amazing, and so we've had a number of missionaries come from there. But yeah, we get them from all over, but not as much as we used to. Right.
Yeah.
And so pray for missionaries, not just for Ablaze, but in the church as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, just if I can give some commentary,
Yeah.
During COVID, everything shut down. It was scary.
Yep.
A lot was unknown. But unfortunately, many churches and many dioceses followed suit. And that's like if a building was on fire and we as Catholics said, let's step back and give it 2 weeks to see what happens. But that's not what Mother Teresa would have done.
Right.
No.
She would have ran into the burning building.
I don't believe that that's what the missionary heart of the church would have done.
Yeah.
It would have ran into that building at risk of our own because there's something that's worse than death, and that's damnation, right? And so
Right.
it's like, so that season lingers now to where the missionary spirit of the church in the United States needs a Pentecost, needs a revival, needs awakening.
But it also, though, revealed, too, who needed to be evangelized. I mean, once everybody went home, okay, you're allowed to go home now. When you're allowed to come back, the ones that didn't come back are the ones that really didn't have that relationship to begin with. It's like, oh, it's so much easier just to do it at home.
Right.
You know, so those are the ones that we really need to be missionaries to, are
Right.
the ones that haven't come back yet.
Bring them back.
You know,
Well, right.
So aside from the kids, you know,
And the best thing is God putting people in their neighborhood that are Catholic.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So how are we doing it? Reaching out to our neighbors, because that's the domestic church in full effect. Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
In these rural areas where, you know, your neighbor is 2-3 miles away, you know, it's a little more difficult, but
Oh, come on. I was driving here and Chris was pointing out, that's this person's land and that's this person's land.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everyone's name. On my street, you know about 4 houses on either side of you and 4 houses across.
Yeah.
And then the guy who always walks his dog at 7 p.m. And that's it.
That's it.
Those
That's
are the
all
names
you
you know.
people
That's
know,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, back in the day, you know, you used to be able to drive around this country and you could see an old homestead on about every 200 to 250 acres.
Yeah.
That was somebody's family. That was the homeland. Everybody lived off of that chunk
They
of
lived,
land.
they farmed.
That's how they raised their family. Now it's those shacks are falling down, they're gone, and now people are trying to survive on thousands of acres. And anyway, so those little homes are gone. Those families have moved off.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times I'm driving around this country and I'm sitting there, who's used to be you could see the pickup coming. Well, that's so and so. You know.
Yeah.
And here comes Bill. You know, now it's like, who in the world was that? You know,
Yeah.
it's getting crazy.
I think we're.
Off subject. Sorry.
No, no. I was going to say, I think we're starting to sound old.
Yeah.
Because I think every generation probably said, the world is changing
you
around
used to
me,
know
right?
those whippersnappers, and now
That's
they're
right.
just all a bunch with their beep bops and their headphones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Precisely.
yeah.
I had
Precisely.
a kid, a young guy. He's just turned 20. Moved in to the house right across the road from us. So he's my new neighbor, and I was sitting there going, "Dadgummit, we got a young kid moved in. He's going to be throwing parties, driving fast down the road." He called me the other day. He was sitting there going, "Man, people drive down this road too fast." And I was sitting there going,
We're
"Who's the old guy?"
Yes.
We're going to get along just fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, "Oh, I like you."
So, and then you have a podcast.
Yeah.
You mind
we do.
sharing that with us?
Yeah, sure. So Matt Rice, the president of Ablaze Ministries, and I,
Beautiful beard.
Yeah, luscious.
He does have a nice beard. Yeah.
So one of the things we recognize, so we do, one of our apostolates is Ablaze Families. And so we believe that the best youth ministers, the best people to minister to young people are their parents.
Yeah,
they have the
absolutely.
most influence, the most time with them, and to the domestic church. So how do we partner with parents? How do we support that? And we started looking around and thinking, like, what's the best way to elevate fatherhood?
What a challenge that you guys are facing.
Right, but there's not a lot of stuff out there in regards to fatherhood, much less Catholic parenthood. You can go and you can buy books from here to the ceiling.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia Man's Turbulence of 1947.
You're right. No human being would stack books like this.
And this is this is like a 5-story building right here that we're in.
Absolutely.
From here to the ceiling, like 5 times over on how to run a parish program, what to do for high school RE, what to do for middle school RE, like those type of things. Curriculum upon
Very
curriculum.
mechanical.
But you couldn't go 2 feet high if you stacked up all the books that are written on how to be a Catholic parent. All of them. You couldn't stack them up to your hip. You know what I mean?
Whoa, yeah.
And so there's not a lot of resources in that area, but that's the most important role that a parent has, is to get their children to heaven.
Yeah.
And so what can we do in fatherhood? Even less, and so we created the Catholic Dad Show, talk about navigating some of the different challenges, and we believe that Catholic fatherhood can and is changing the world.
Yep.
To be fully alive as a Catholic fatherhood is to create legacy. And I think at the end of the day, people build wealth, they seek fame, but at the end of it, when they're on breathing tubes and different things like that, they're thinking legacy. And our greatest legacy is not going to be the buildings that we leave or the businesses we leave or the podcast episodes we leave. It's going to be our children and our grandchildren.
Right. Yeah.
And so how do we help dads build that Catholic legacy?
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
the Catholic Dad Show. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. You're so good at just giving it. Right, the
Elevator
elevator.
speech. She's got it down. You know.
Today there was 2 folks that I was sitting with at lunch, and I heard it a different way. The wife was like, "Come on, number 5. We need number 5," and he said, the husband was like, "I don't know." And, "Come on, number 5." And I just thought, yes, this is awesome. I love this conversation. Can I mediate this conversation?
Right.
Yes, number 5. Dude, what are you thinking? Like, yes, number 5. Anyways, so they have boys and they're just nuts, and I'm like, I got 6 girls.
Yeah.
It gets easier. Trust me. It just gets easier.
Not for the one with 6 girls. It does get easier for the one with 6 boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Boys are hard in the beginning. You got to replace a few window panes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Broken bones.
But girls at about age 13, they start having these emotions that they don't understand, and they look to you, and they get angry that you don't understand them.
Yeah. I'm just real. Like, I just get right to the point on stuff.
Yeah.
Just say it like it is. And Joan's like, "Oh, Dad. Oh, my goodness." So she knows that she's going to get it straight from me.
Good.
So,
Praise God.
yes. Well, this has been great, but I just want to kind of end by saying that, I kind of thought we'd start this way, but you jumped right in and we invited you to do that. So
Sure.
thank you.
Yep.
But it's been awesome being your friend. And for some of you, I've told my story a little bit, so a little snippet of it that is just awesome. And one of the reasons that's led us to be here is, a lot of people from College Station have done a lot of great things. Like, I could name, like, you talk about Will Rooney, who's now Father Will Rooney.
Yep.
And he served as an altar server in our wedding, Melissa and I's wedding.
Yep.
And then I just look at, I don't know where Harvey is, though.
I still talk to him about once every 3 months or so.
Awesome. That's great.
He's got a good job. He's done good.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But just everybody, like Father Jared Cook was on core team. Father Tom Reitmeyer on core team.
Yep. Father Chris Smith was another teen in the youth program. And yeah.
Yes. And then you look at the Cuts Modes and all the people, just such greatness in Catholicism.
40 Days for Life started there. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many things coming out of Aggie Land.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. God is alive and
Yes.
sending missionaries forth in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
I feel like I'm one of them.
Absolutely.
Coming out of College Station, actually being converted to Catholicism, living in College Station.
Yep.
I mean, I'm another example, I would say, of what the Catholic Church is doing there. And you were a big part of that. And I actually got to join core team. And you trusted my faith before I was Catholic.
Yep.
And and got to be a part of core team and learn and just be around it. Of course, I was reading Thomas Aquinas. I was going to St. Thomas Aquinas Parish. I lived with someone who's now a canon lawyer,
And you were coming and processing at the last 30 minutes of your workday.
Yes.
In the youth office, being like, this idea and this idea and this idea. It was awesome. It was
great time in life, right? Yeah. Sharing, everything from finances to friendships. It was great, to faith.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole, who was there, Faith Formation, who went into long-term care that I'm in now. And so there's just so many connections. I could go on and on. But anyways, you're a big part of my conversion to Catholicism. So thank you for being open, because I wasn't Catholic and you invited me in.
Yeah.
So the mission that you are on now is the mission that I feel like that you started with when I was, around you at that time. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Praise God. The mission doesn't change. It just deepens. And that's a beautiful adventure. So yeah, let's all storm heaven together with truckloads of people behind us.
Amen. Yeah, let's do it.
Amen. So where can people find more about Ablaze?
Ablaze and
Yeah, great. Our website's ablaze.us. That we actually are coming up with a
.us.
Ablaze us. Set us on fire. Ablaze.us. One thing we're doing is, while we're praying for missionaries, and we have a number of parishes that are interested in having missionaries come, we're also doing a thing where we partner with parishes called Ablaze Connect. And that's pretty new, where we journey with people. We call it accompaniment coaching. So we just don't coach and give you materials, but we also journey with you to help you be successful. So if you're a volunteer-led program, or you're in your first year of ministry at your parish, or if your parish doesn't have anything for youth ministry, connect us. Reach out to us. My email is chris@ablaze.us, and then we can dream big dreams together for what God wants to do for young people and transforming the church.
That's
awesome,
exciting.
Chris. Thanks.
And then also the Catholic Dad Show.
Catholic Dad Show is based off of YouTube, but you can find it on all the podcast platforms as well.
Catholic Dad Show.
But YouTube is where you get to see this and Matt's amazing beard.
It really is a cool beard.
It is.
It really is.
Yep.
I mean,
So just go check it out for the beard.
just for the beard.
I'm here for the beard.
I'm here for the beard. On that note,
For the beard. Okay. So in the meantime,
be bold.
be real.
What should we say next?
Oh, what should you say next? Be Catholic.
God bless.
God bless.